Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you today with Robin, issue 1. And I wish that I had found this book back in the day when I first got into Batman, but I grew up in a small town, and finding comics was really few and far between. Every comic shop that we ever got shut down, and this was still kind of before the direct market really took over, so I would still find comics at our local grocery store, but it was always hit or miss on what they had. They would usually have like the big names, Batman, Superman, but the ones that they always, for whatever reason, had in abundance was the Archie Turtle comics. But anything else, yeah, it was just what do you call it, a crapshoot. However, umpteen years later, I'm thankful that I finally got this book, and this is exactly a prime example of how you introduce a new character taking over a legacy role. This is Tim Drake donning the Robin suit, and what really helps in his hero journey is how he's afraid of tarnishing the legacy of Jason Todd and Dick Grayson. Now, in terms of continuity, if you want to kind of know the reading order, this book takes place directly after Batman number 457, where Tim Drake's kind of already warmed up to Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is kind of teaching him, essentially not letting him don the suit immediately, because if you remember, his first appearance, it was a flashback, was Batman Year 3, which was issue 436, and then as the issues progressed, Tim Drake comes out and says how he, just by pure deduction, figured out who Batman and Dick Grayson were. And that's why they kind of took him under the wing, because Tim kept saying that Batman needs a Robin, because he saw how self-destructive he was after the death of Jason. And he kept saying, Dick, you need to be back by his side. But he's like, that's not me anymore. That's not my persona. And so I like how, I think it was Marv Wolfman and Pat Broderick that initially created Tim Drake. But here in this book, this is, from what I understand from the DC Wicca website, this is the debut of Chuck Dixon. And come to, now in 2022, and Chuck, from what I understand, wrote more issues with Robin in it than anyone else. So the man, even though Marv set the foundation, Chuck, kind of like Chris Claremont with the X-Men, built up everyone, Tim Drake the way that we know him for as many years as it's been, God, from 91 to 2022, so 30, almost 30-something years? Yeah, something like that. But anyway, with that said, print date on this was January 1991. Tim has just saved Bruce and Vicky Vale from being kidnapped by the, Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow. And just listen to how the dialogue goes. But we'll talk about who made this book first before we talk about Big Bad World. Chuck Dixon, writer. Tom Lyle, pencils. Bob Smith, inker. Tim Harkins, letterer. Adrian Roy, colorist. And Dan Raspler and Denny O'Neil, editors. And then Batman was created by Bill Finger with Bob Kane. And here, so Bruce says, how does it feel, Tim? You've stood there the longest time and I haven't said a word. It feels right, Bruce, but I'm not sure. I need more time. I kept thinking that I was still a long way from this. You're ready now, Tim. I thought you'd already done all your thinking. I thought this was what you wanted to be, my partner. Why me? Why did you pick me? What makes me the next guy to become Robin? In this uniform here, at the end of issue 4, what was it again? Yeah, 457. Sorry, guys, it's not enough caffeine yet. He's talking about the weight to bear wearing the original uniform, how, Dick made it a symbol, and Jason died for it. And Bruce says, I don't want you to bear that weight. So that's when they introduced the new uniform. And again, just like a hero's journey, how he's unsure of himself. He's not coming right out of the gate saying, oh, I'm the greatest ever. I can do this, I can do that. No, he's unsure of himself. Even though he's a smart computer genius and acrobatic, he's still afraid of failing. And Bruce says, I didn't choose your name out of a hat, son. You've got the skills needed to do the job, the speed, the agility, the guts. Do I? Do I have the guts? Wearing this costume is almost giving me the shakes. I'm afraid, Bruce. It's not the danger of the streets that scare me. I'm scared of letting you down. I'd rather walk away from this now than let you see you made the wrong choice. I'm not sure I have what it takes. I'm not street tough. And Bruce says that you'll have all that in time. You just need the edge. That's what you call some damn good writing right there. This is the quality of writing, both novel-wise and comic-wise, that I feel is slowly, what do you call it, slipping away. Like the craft is slowly dying. And I was mentioning that a little bit in The Nice House on the Lake. Even though Tinian does a great job, the way that the characters were talking, how it was just so nihilistic and just very, I don't know, very hateful in a sense. That just like, I mean, I guess that's Tinian capturing modern day, what do you call it, attitude. But you just go back and see traditional writing like this, and it just fills you with something else. Now, with kind of getting all that excitement out of the way, the plot happens. We get Lady Shiva talking about how she wants to be the next big thing, and she's approaching this man who has been defeated. You know, he was one of the greatest, I think it was mob bosses. Let me see if I can find it. What is it in my power? Okay, she says, here it is. All the world acknowledged you as the master of the empty hand fighting. For 2 decades, you brought honor to your house. You were undefeated. Hundreds died at your hand. But then you met in combat a man who calls himself the King Snake. I intended to challenge you for your place in the world, but I find there's another who is better. How did he defeat you? What weapon brought you low? So right here, what I love is how Chuck takes his time, because if you remember, King Snake was one of the minions of Bane. So here we just get the name drop. No cameo appearance, no full first appearance, just a name drop. So nobody at this time knew who King Snake was. So at the time, you just kind of think, that's throwaway. But going back and seeing how this was one of the books that led into Nightfall, and how Nightfall is still, just like the death of Superman, just like the Age of Apocalypse, those three are like some of the most memorable and top celebrated events of this time period. Yes, the Age of Apocalypse came later, but the death of Superman, Nightfall, they happened almost at the same time. And at the time, they were frustrating, because Superman died, and then Bruce got his back broken, and we got Jean Paul Valley, the Azrael, which we all can appreciate Azrael now, but back then it's like, oh, please tell me this is not going to become the status quo. But thinking back now, everything that was done just, oh, it was so great. This was such a time to be a Batman fan. I remember reading all these and just thinking, God, I want more. So every time my mom went grocery shopping, and even when she didn't eat groceries, I'd be like, can you take me to go get more books? But here, again, Tim, he's being sent to go train with some of Bruce's former masters. And he goes, I have to leave so much behind. I'm traveling light, only taking the essentials. Alfred, do you think I'm making the right decision by going to Paris? Of course, Paris is a wonderful city. I'm sure you'll enjoy your stay there. That's not what I mean. I wonder if I'm going about this the right way. Meaning? Well, Bruce won't tell me exactly what he did to gain experience out in the big bad world. Maybe learning an obscure Tibetan martial art form and its last living master isn't what it's about. You must do what you think is correct. Master Bruce would never tell you what to do. To follow his path would not ensure the same results. You have to find your own way. Choose your own path, Master Tim. And he goes in and we talk about the death of his mom, how his father was mortally injured, or fatally injured, Again, feel free to make fun of me down in the comments if I'm not getting the words out right. But as you go from here, moving forward, as you remember through Nightfall, Tim's dad is in a wheelchair, and it's because of a fallout of this. And I can't remember exactly what happened. If you guys can point me in the right direction, let me know. But listen to the way he talks about his family. I have a few goodbyes to make of my own. I hate to admit it, but this is the easier of the two. At least I know her suffering is over. I can't even know what my father's going through. Day after day, paralyzed, he can only move his eyes. His hands so small in mine. I remember when I thought it was the biggest hand in the world. It's strange to be leaving them. And for me, because I just recently lost both of my parents, so seeing Tim have this kind of internal conflict and thoughts, it really hits home to me to think how, you know, seeing your parents and how when you're younger you see them as these invulnerable deities. For those of you that didn't, I apologize. I'm just talking from my own experience. And then as they get sick and wither, and you get to see how frail and human they really are, it's just really much blows your entire world. And so that's kind of what Tim's seeing here, is he's going on this whole new journey on his own without his folks. And it's just leaving him with so much to think about. And so with that said, we finally get to Paris. He's being trained by one of Bruce's former masters. And I like that Tim goes in not really trying to be cocky. He just, what do you do it? He just kind of goes in and tries to learn. He says, you know, this dude, I cannot remember his name for the life of me. He's the last living relative of the master. And he goes, and Tim's thinking, he's giving me a chance, and I take my best shot. Bad move. And you can just see how green Tim is and how much he has to go to learn. So again, here, right out of the gate, Tim Drake's not the greatest. He has the potential. I mean, he helped fight through fear toxins to save Batman and Vicky Vale from the Scarecrow. But he still has so much to learn, and just, it's so nice to see him, you know, not, what do you call it, not going, oh, I could have taken you. Kind of the Jason Todd attitude. I think that's why when they made Tim, they very much made him the antithesis of Jason Todd at the time, because everyone did not, at this time in history, let's not think about Red Hood now, but back in the day when Jason Todd was Batman, that's why they killed him. They when they set up Death in the Family, they had a 1-900 number that you could call saying live or die. And everyone voted Jason Todd dead because they did not like that this new Robin had a chip on his shoulder. And I can't remember what issue it is, but apparently the way that it was written kind of left it open-ended that he dropped somebody from a building or threatened to drop them, and he just walked away. And that was kind of the nail in the coffin with fans, from what I understand. So I think they tried to bring Tim back to sort of having that hopefulness that Dick Grayson brought to the table, that sort of helped ground Batman and bring him back from the brink of destruction here. And one thing about this book is I'm glad that the poster is, it's stuck in the stable, but there's a cool Robin poster in there, and I'm glad that it's still here and not taken out as many of us would do as we get to the middle of the book, pull the staple, take the poster out, and yeah, I won't do that anymore. So anyway, moving on past that, Tim and his new sensei basically kind of take a night out to go relax. And they meet this girl who's apparently part of a gang. And Tim, again, kind of knows the responsibility of helping her, because even though she's part of this Yakuza gang, and he gets his butt kicked as Tim, he decides that he needs to do something about it. He goes, so what do? I could just walk away. What would Bruce do? The Llama School is only a few blocks from here. Those thugs should still be there when I get back. And so we see here that he kind of lets his insecurities go once he dons the mask. The girl may only have been showing a brave front for the guys, but I keep telling myself that she could be in real danger. And then we get this awesome gang fight. And he jumps in because he sees this, where is it? This guy, he was getting beat by the Yakuza. So Robin's like, let's even the odds a little bit. What I like, though, is even though they team up, they're going to take on the Yakuza, Tim still thinks, I really need to be on my toes. This isn't school. This isn't a lesson. If I fail here, we both die. And that's kind of where the book sort of ends, on this note of the stakes are high. We have Shiva watching from the rafters to try to hunt down this king shark person. But damn, guys, for a first issue, all this, you know, the drama, action, camaraderie, and just the whole overarch of this hero's journey of Tim Drake trying to overcome these worries so that he can become a hero like everyone that he looked up to growing up. This is everything that you want in a comic book. I can't wait to try to find issue 2 because, yeah, just reading this one, I'm like, I want more. I did get lucky. When I was talking about how I couldn't find this particular book at the grocery store, I did. After they did this miniseries, they did one called Robin 2, and I did get the first few issues of that. But everything had already been established. And even though it was still good, it just did not have the same impact as reading this first issue. So if you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and see if you can find a copy. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate it if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little Robin bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.